Find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
Podmoth.
Dans notre au quotidien, ces secrets où
Located on the edges of your radio static, you've stumbled upon the Lost Signal, your podcast destination for tales of horror and the macabre, brought to life with voice acting and sound effects. New episodes are released every 2 weeks on Monday on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Join us, won't you?
Hey, Twisted listeners, I'm Cindy.
And I'm Diva.
This is Twisted Listers, a podcast about murder
And Liz.
and we're brought to you by the Podmoth Podcasting Network. And Diva and I are both recording in different places this week. So if the sound is a little different, that's why.
Yeah.
I'm in my kids' room because it is actually 105 degrees out. And like,
we don't want Cindy to die for the podcast.
Nope, won't be worth it. I'll
Nope.
actually just
don't want to watch you
pass
die
out.
on Zoom.
Yeah, you'll just
Yeah.
watch me, my eyes roll back in my head, and then I'll start to
Mhm.
slump, and then you'll have to call 911. And you're in San Francisco, so it would be, or no, you're not in San Francisco, are you?
No, I'm in Alameda.
Alameda. Basically
Yes,
San
close.
Francisco. Yeah.
Across the bay, yeah, with visiting my dad, and had a wedding and visiting with various friends. It is also very hot up here.
Or there though, but that's like the 80s. So
No, it's 96 here right now.
is
It's
it?
It's holding down.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
shit, yeah.
unusually hot.
Yeah. The East Bay does that. So that's how,
It can.
how the
yeah.
East Bay rolls now. San
Yeah,
Francisco
it's weird to
stays
be
cool.
recording in a new location. I'm like, oh,
I know. It's weird. I'm on
Very
the
strange.
floor in Ollie's room, just like, God, this fucking room's a mess. Thinking about how I want to clean it up. Anyway, what's our topic? I picked it, right?
yeah.
Oh,
And
this was a listener request. This is a good one.
It was, and I also want to preface this with it's kind of spooky season already. It's pre-October.
Hell yeah.
And so we have to like get a soft launch here onto spooky topics. This is a good way to do it.
Yes, this is murder solved by psychics.
Yeah.
And I'll just tell you right now, like, I don't believe this shit at all. At all.
No.
And you do. There's a podcast on our
Okay.
network called Believer Skeptic. And if that were our podcast, you would be the believer and I would be the skeptic. For sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, I still thought it was a really fun topic. And I'm a little bit less of a skeptic after reading some of these. So there is that.
I mean, I think this is good though, because we're balanced, and this way, like listeners who are believers and listeners who are skeptics will be like, they won't feel left out.
Everybody's represented. Yeah.
We're all covered here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So I chose. So you go first, right? Do we have anything else to talk about?
No, did you want to do the things or do it at the end?
Oh, yeah. Let's do the things. Let's do the damn
Okay.
thing. All right. So I'm going to say it. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, which we are way fucking behind on our Patreon episodes,
Yeah.
and we apologize.
I've been
Um,
traveling too much. It's my fault.
That's fine. I mean, we all got to live our lives, right? But guys, we
Yeah,
love
yeah.
you. I actually posted saying how much we love you guys for being so patient. I know you're still adding to like the murder map and whatever, but anyway, but if you'd like to join us on Patreon and listen to what's already there, and we do try to do one per month, it's just patreon.com/twistedlisters. If you'd like to join us on TikTok, you can do that. It's just at Twisted Listers. If you would like to join us on Instagram, you can do that at.
Twisted Listeners PCast.
And if you'd like to check out our website, you can do that at.
twistedlisterspod@gmail.com.
That's our email
wait.
address.
twistedlisterspod.com.
There we go. And you heard our email address. So you can
Yeah.
send in
Same thing.
suggestions, which we're getting quite a few. So if we're not responding immediately or if we're not covering your case, it's just because we have a lot, which is fucking rad. Like, it's so
Yeah.
fucking cool.
But you've been heard. It's been registered.
Yes, and we appreciate the interactions, and we promise we'll
Yeah.
get back to you. All right, so you start. Woo-woo.
And I'm going to do the case of Melanie Uribe.
Okay.
This happened in Burbank, I believe. So that makes it kind of special. Although there's some places that said Pacoima. So let's just take, it's between Pacoima and Burbank, I think.
Which is basically like where I am right now, like North Hollywood, basically the valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's close. It's
Mhm.
close. It's adjacent.
I think people would say Burbank instead of Pacoima because Burbank like has an airport and people kind of know where Burbank is, whereas Pacoima,
Well, I think
people are like,
Melanie worked in Burbank, but well, it's unclear. I'll specify.
"What?" Okay.
So this happened in 1980. Melanie was 31. She worked as a nurse at what has been said to be Pacoima Memorial Hospital in Burbank, but I'm kind of confused by that. It sounds like it should be in Pacoima. I can't find a contemporary like equivalent of this.
No, Burbank has St. Joe's and that's it. And that's been there since like the 40s.
Yeah.
So
I think that might be either an error or the changed hospital names. I don't know.
Right.
Or something. But anyway, let's just average it out North LA.
yeah. Oh, we're in the valley.
Yeah, we're in the valley.
Okay.
She was a nurse. She was a divorced single mom of an 8-year-old son.
Okay.
When she doesn't show up for work one day, she's reported missing. Her disappearance was apparently a pretty big news story. Just young, nurse vanishes out of nowhere. And shortly thereafter, an eyewitness, Paul Woods, said he saw a brutal attack in which a woman, spoiler alert, it's Melanie, sitting at a stoplight when two men forced their way into their truck and abducted her. So they carjacked her car and drove it away with her in it.
Wow, that's such a fucking. I am so afraid of something like that happening. Like
you
scary. Feel like you're gonna be safe in your car. You're fucking not.
Yeah.
Like
no, that's so scary.
So scary.
When I was like just by where I worked, like on my little citizen crime app, there was some like fucking woman with a baby abducted, and the guy kicked her out and drove away with her baby still in the car. And I was following that like on the app so hard. That was so scary.
Did she get the baby back?
Yeah, it was fine. But it was actually a kidnapping because it was the dad like taking custody or whatever.
Oh, shit. Wow.
Yeah, it's a long story.
The plot thickens. Okay.
So this terrifying carjacking, these two men took Melanie essentially. The next morning around 5 a.m., the police responded to a truck on fire nearby.
Ugh.
And later that morning, a woman came to the police station and reported her friend Melanie Uribe missing. And then they figure things out and match up that was her truck that they found on fire.
Right.
The police then make the connection with the carjacking report and say, okay, the guy who reported that he saw that, and they say, okay, this is probably Melanie. They go back to the site of the carjacking where the eyewitness said it happened and found a box of Kleenex, which the roommate, I think that was her roommate that reported her missing, identified as something Melanie kept in her car, something that kind of got flung out.
Got it. During the jacking.
Struggle.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So meanwhile, our psychic emerges into the picture here.
Oh.
So she is 32-year-old Etta Smith.
Okay.
She worked as a shipping clerk at Lockheed, like Lockheed Martin.
Oh yeah, that's Burbank.
Mm-hmm.
That was. Mm-hmm.
She an aerospace plant. She is suddenly taken aback by just random fucking psychic visions of Melanie and her location. And she sees a canyon and shrubs and the whole setting. And it's not like alive Melanie. She sees that the body is there.
Okay.
She doesn't know who Melanie is. She says she doesn't know who the whole case is. And like, I kind of find this one more believable than some of the other ones I read because she's seeing just like a flash of an image, which is how I've heard a lot of like psychics I believe in describe it.
Right.
She's not getting a whole like life story narrative. She's seeing just like one image.
Right. Okay.
And trying to put it together. She goes to police right away. And also I want to say Etta like had a kind of psychic experiences and like, or had visions. She had premonitions that came true, but she never had one that was related to a crime or a body. This was the first time. All of a sudden she's like, oh, okay, this is a thing.
Okay. So this wasn't like a thing she was trying to do and like be famous for or anything.
No, she was not like a vaunted like psychic detective or anything like that.
Right.
She had just basically knew she could have premonitions and she knew she had these visions sometimes.
Right.
But had never been like in the service of a case ever.
Got it.
So she goes to police right away and she's like, look, I think this is this spot. I think I know where it is. And can you see if there's a body there essentially? And the police said, can you give us a pin on a map? Can you drop the pin? And she's like, yeah, I think I can. She thinks it's in Lopez Canyon,
Okay.
which is in the hills above Pacoima.
Okay.
She's like, feels a sense of urgency about it. She's like, please, can you go check? Like, just like, I gotta know.
Right.
She then, Etta fears the police aren't taking her seriously, which they seem to not be.
That's not surprising at all.
No. And she doesn't think they're gonna go. So she, with her kids in her car, drives up to Lopez Canyon.
Oh, fuck.
She's like, I'm just gonna do it. And she drives up there herself. She senses like, okay, I think this is the right fucking canyon. She sees a tire tread, and she kind of like gets on the vibrations of the tire tread, and she's like, yeah, I think I'm on the right track here. This was her car. She said she can feel the sense of trauma and like what happened to her and all that psychic good stuff. She's like, it's the vibrations of that place are coming through.
Right.
She literally follows the tracks, the car tracks, and she's like, oh, okay, there's Melanie. I don't think she took the kids with her for that part. I think they were in the car.
But she actually walks up.
Yeah.
Leaving her kids in the car at a murder scene. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Fair point.
Okay.
Fair point.
Okay.
I mean, it's been like been a couple days though, right? So probably.
I guess she would have felt if they were still there. I don't know, dude.
Yeah, she is psychic, exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, so she sees Melanie's white nurse's shoes and knows, okay, this is the lady I saw. This is how she was dressed in my vision. Melanie was lying face down. She had been beaten and had trauma to the head. The coroner will later determine that this is really gnarly. She had been beaten to death with a rock roughly the size of a volleyball.
Jesus Christ. So they're like double handing this rock, just like ruthlessly. That's fucked up.
That's fucked up.
Jesus.
Yeah. Gruesome. So this is the wildest part of this case. How did the cops respond to this?
They arrested her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Of course. Of course they did.
How'd you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're super mad at Etta for like solving the case without them. And they bring her and her children in for like brutal interrogation. They interrogate her super aggressively, and they're like, you're guilty because you knew where the body was.
Right.
They ultimately arrest her and charge her with the murder, like straight away, without any other evidence other than this thing that happened.
Right.
She's kept for 24 hours without food and water. They're trying to like apparently break her to like get her to confess.
Isn't that like not legal?
I mean, honestly, I wrote here in my notes that like this is probably fairly common for prisoners and fucking whoever.
Yeah.
But still, it's extra horrible because she, just didn't do anything at all.
We are talking about the LAPD though, so that's probably actually like on the softer
standard practice.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah. The police then give a press conference, and you can see like little bits of this press conference in documentaries, and it's insane. They literally say, quote, a person other than police personnel found the body. They don't mention anything about her being a psychic, because of course not. They're not gonna go there or say that she, they make it sound this person found the body. Like, oh, it's suspicious, right?
Right. They're a person of interest, in fact. So
they don't also mention that person is like in jail.
It's
they very
didn't?
like
okay.
I don't think they do. It's very weird. Like she's just sort of quietly in jail. Yeah. Anyway, it's a very. I forget if they said that or not. All I remember is them saying like someone else found the body,
right?
And we didn't, and we're mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thankfully, pretty quickly, the actual killers are identified as they were out and about bragging to tons of people, as sometimes murderers do.
Yeah, they love that shit.
Makes everyone's jobs much easier when they do that.
Yeah, which is good because the cops probably wouldn't have solved it otherwise had it not been handed to them.
Very helpful. Yeah. So the people who are doing that, by the way, they also tell someone who's a paid police informant. So that's very convenient because the informant's like, boop, 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 red alert. I got something good.
Yeah.
So our killers here, alleged killers, are Louis Carnell Morgan, who's 20, Spencer Nelson, who's 21, and an unidentified 17-year-old.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They both, two of them, I'm not sure about the 17-year-old, but the two adults here eventually confess. They say that they just randomly decided to carjack and rob Melanie out of the blue, which fucking is terrifying to think about. Like, okay. They abducted her. One of them, I'm not sure which one, raped her in the back seat.
Oh, God.
And they drove around and decided essentially they had to kill her. And so it was apparently Nelson, allegedly, that bludgeoned her to death with the rock.
Wow.
So only after all of that confession comes out is Etta let go.
Jesus.
They're like, whoops, sorry, Etta. Like, she spent a while in jail. I think like a week or something.
Wow.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
And police also actually go back and find an anonymous female caller who had called him with a tip, who was one of the men's girlfriends. I think Spencer's, I'm not sure. And they circle back to her, and they're like, hi, you were calling about Spencer and we just like ignored your tip or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? And she says, I can get you the murder weapon. I can get you the rock. And because Spencer, whoever, had me hide it for him.
Oh,
and they're like, oh yeah, could you?
Could you bring that to us, please? Like,
and so she does, and she brings back a big giant ass bloody rock wrapped in a cloth, which is a crazy visual.
yeah, that's so gnarly. That's awful.
Yeah, it's just a weird detail. So there's tons of evidence against these guys. They confess. They're charged with murder, obviously, and various robbery charges. And I just had to pause and look up, double check that what was their sentence. And I could not find it. This is a case with not a ton of information, but I'm assuming it was life. These are also Black men. So just, and it's 1980. So
yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and assume it was a hefty sentence.
Yes, that sounds right.
I did see one source that said are serving time.
Like
so
currently.
So that's ambiguous, but
I am interested to know what happened to the 17-year-old, because it sounds like he didn't do much besides just be present, and he was underage. So
it could really go either way. He could get less time, but you could also just get like a life sentence. Even the other thing is,
if his name is still not released, then that to me means that he did time as a minor and was released.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Just you know.
Yeah, I think your name does. If you're tried as an adult, does your name get like released? I
think so. Yeah, I mean, think about all the kids that have been tried as adults and their names are out there. So it could be very likely that like he either didn't do any time or he did some, but that's an interesting tidbit there. Yeah, honestly.
just saying like it could go either way with 17-year-olds. You know, we have talked about it going very much either way.
It can go either way with 14-year-olds in our fucked up ass society. So
yeah. So who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the main two guys probably got a giant sentence here.
Okay,
I'm guessing. But Etta, as she notes, never got so much as a second word or a thank you card from the cops for finding this body and cracking the case. I don't know. Here's the thing. I know you're not a believer, but this kind of thing made me think about some of the cases I also kind of briefly researched, and made me think about, like, okay, the thing on the internet is they say psychics have never solved a single case, but how many might have and are just not going to be credited? The police will never say it.
Well, what's interesting that you say that, because my case today, I feel like kind of puts that to bed, like, because it did happen. It did happen that a psychic solved a case. So no, I'm just saying like the people that do that say that this never happened. Yeah.
Then I say, how many times has it happened and it was hush hush, or like there's no credit?
Right.
They're not. The police will never ever say it.
No.
And the only times we know about it are times like Etta, you know, who is coming out here, you know, Etta Smith is coming out and saying, hey, I did this. This is what happened.
Yeah.
And because of her imprisonment, that's why this one also kind of has like its special twist to it.
Yeah.
So she does, I want to mention, sue the fuck out of LAPD for her false arrest.
Good.
It was obviously super traumatic. She was also strip searched. She got dysentery from the conditions of the jail.
Oh,
so
fuck.
It was actually a pretty unpleasant fucking stay, obviously, as it always is for everyone.
Jesus.
And she does ultimately get about a $27,000 settlement.
That's all right. I mean, it's better than nothing.
Better than nothing. Like I said, I kind of find this one very credible, especially because Etta's not like a celebrity psychic. She doesn't have like this record of working with the police.
Right.
And this is just a random thing where she was like, fuck, you know, I got to try to tell someone.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe it, but it's interesting. I'll tell you that.
It's cool. Yeah. And a horrible little piece of Burbank Pacoima history.
Yeah, that's gnarly. Also so weird that I wonder where was she? Was she in Pacoima when she was
I don't know where she was carjacked. Yeah, I haven't seen that, but she was above Pacoima when she was killed.
Murdered. Yeah, that's so fucked up. Okay, well, I chose this next case because I'm not a believer, and if anything was going to change my mind, it would probably be this case. Yeah, so I was like, you know, I'm not a believer, but I am open-minded enough to like challenge my own ideas. So Here we go. Also, just really quickly, we did get like an email or like an Instagram message and like a TikTok message from somebody who was like, I really like your podcast, but I just really don't like how much you hate white people.
Oh,
And I
gosh.
was like, I am white people. Like,
Me too.
yeah, I mean, you are too, but I'm not to play like the unoppression Olympics, but
Yeah.
I am very white.
Yeah. No, I'm Mexican and brown, but
Yes.
I'm also white.
You have very light skin, but I am like a very light skinned white woman.
I don't mean aesthetically. I mean in my heritage.
Oh, right.
I'm a European person.
No, it's
so.
true. But I am also a European person, and aesthetically, I'm like as white as it gets. Like I'm like a couple shades above like albino. So, and I have a white male son, and so I was like, it's really interesting that we're getting this feedback because I don't hate white people.
I'm surprised we don't get it more.
We just get 1-star reviews with like no explanation. That's what we get. And there's only been a few of them, and who fucking cares? But I don't hate white people. I hate white supremacy, and I hate the white supremacy of our society. Just like I don't hate men, I hate the patriarchy. I have a white male son, like it's not. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I know
like...
lots of people that think it's racist to point out white privilege. I know a lot of people think that, and it's just like, well, maybe you need to just take a fucking 10-minute, 20-minute, 1 year long look at yourself and the privileges you benefited from,
Right. Because it's like, and I get where they're coming from because I grew up super poor too. And it's like, yeah, we don't necessarily like, ultimately in the end, it's a class war as much as anything. But like the idea that like I have a better chance of getting out of my circumstances because of the color of my skin is problematic because everybody should have equal chances. The outcomes may not always end up the same, but we should all have the equal opportunities in like in a real way, and we absolutely fucking don't. So
exactly. We are in a class war, but like even if the poor white person has one kind of privilege.
Yeah,
like they don't have them all,
and they have a better chance at upward.
But they have one.
Yeah, they have a much better chance at upward mobility for sure. So just something to think about. But it was cool because I kind of started off like a little defensive because we've had people talk shit to us before, and they were like, oh, it's fine, I love your show, like I listen at work, it makes the day go by. And it was really nice for them to like not agree with that but still be like, I support your show. And so hopefully like continuing to listen offers an outside perspective that will change their mind a little bit. So anyway, that just saying that I was calling myself open-minded made me think of that, giving myself that compliment. Anyway, okay. So this is the case of Andre Daigle, I think his name is. It's Daigle. This happens in New Orleans, and it's 1987. Ooh. Yeah, I know. Okay. Spooky. So in 1987, 27-year-old Andre Daigle lived in New Orleans, where he worked as a carpenter. He did a lot of home renovations with his friend Joe Lapinto. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that he was from the area. Like Andre grew up there because I think most of his family members, including I think 2 or 3 of his siblings and his parents, also lived either in New Orleans or just in the general area. Andre was super well liked. He was outgoing. He was fun. He was a typical guy in his 20s, right? Worked hard, played hard, liked to drink, liked to go out. He was working in an exciting city. New Orleans is very poppin' all the time,
Oh, yeah. Still is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every day.
So he would go out with friends after work to get a few beers and hang out. And on June 9th, 1987, he did just that when he met up with his friend Nick. They went to Chi-Chi's Mexican restaurant. They got some food. They got some drinks. They were just like hanging out. It was a work night, so I think they did intend to kind of end the night early. But after dinner, they're like, let's go play pool. Grab a quick beer. Don't want the night to end quite yet, right?
Yeah.
So they go to, I forget, I didn't write down the name of this bar. But anyway, they go to the bar. They start playing pool. They get a couple beers. While they're there, they meet this woman. She's really cute, and she's very flirty. She's also in her 20s, and her name is Thelma, which is like an interesting name for the 80s or any time for, I don't know. I guess if you're like in the 50s or 60s and your name is Thelma, but like to be in your 20s in the 80s and name Thelma just feels weird to me. I don't know. You've got Thelma and Louise. I guess it's not that weird. Anyway,
it's a great name.
It is.
It's a good name for a cat. It's a great name for a cat.
It's a great cat name. It really is. Yeah. I agree. So anyway, they're all hanging out, and Thelma here is being super flirty with Andre. She's at the bar alone, and it seems like she just came by herself. And so she's talking to him, being super forward, being really flirty, like I said. Andre's enjoying the attention, but I don't think he was making any assumptions about what was going to happen, And in fact, like he and Nick decided to leave. They're like, all right, we're going to take off. So they decide to leave at the same time. So obviously he's not like, go home, Nick. I'm going to stay with Thelma and like see what happens. Right.
Right.
So just before they leave, Thelma actually approaches Andre and she's like super flirty again and is like, can you give me a ride home? Like, I need to check on a pregnant friend. I need to leave early as well. You know, I don't have a ride home. Can you help me out? And he's like, yeah, of course. And I think he kind of thought he knew what she wanted. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, all that.
Gotcha.
You know? So he's like, all right, fuck it. I'm going to take this girl home. She's been hitting on me all night. Like, let's see what happens. Right.
Do the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next day, Andre's friend Joe Lapinto shows up for work. Andre is not there. So I think Joe pretty quickly reached out to Andre's family, who became worried like pretty much right away, because apparently Andre was actually like a super reliable guy and he wouldn't just not show up for work. Like that's not a thing he ever did. So him not showing up was super problematic because everybody's like, this is a first, this isn't normal, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, they start reaching out to all of his friends, and I guess they did reach out to Nick, who told them about the night before, but nobody even knew if Thelma was her real name, because obviously it's an interesting name, you know, or if anything weird happened. You know, he could just be passed out at her house. They might have just stayed up all night partying, drinking, who knows. His family wasn't convinced that everything was okay, so they decide to start looking for him. They go to the police. The police are like, give it a couple days. He's 27. Sounds like he just got wasted with a new lady friend, you know, whatever, right? So they start going door to door. They're posting flyers. They're just searching like constantly, like nonstop searching New Orleans and the greater, like the surrounding area, right? He had actually just bought a new truck, Andre. It was a used truck, but it was new to him. And it was a black truck with a dent and a scratch in the door, but it was otherwise in really good shape. So like,
okay,
but it did have like something that made it kind of unique. It didn't, you know, that you
distinguishing feature.
Yeah, distinguishing feature. Thank you. Family was looking for that truck as well, because they're like, maybe if we find the truck, we find Andre, you know, whatever. So while most of his family lived locally, one of his sisters, Elise, lived in California. She had been called by the family. She too was very worried. And she had happened to go to a psychic, just kind of like as a joke, a couple days before. Like, just like, oh, my friend wants me to go just for fun. We'll have a good time, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So she's desperate for answers. And I mean, this all happens within a couple of days. So this family is not fucking around. They're like, you're going to fucking find him. Like,
yeah, they're on it.
They're on it. So it's like day 2 that he's missing. And she reaches back out to this psychic. The psychic's name is Rosemary Kerr. She was a clairvoyant, a medium, a psychometrist or a psychometrist. I don't know, psychometrist, I think. And a psychic investigator. And she'd done this.
What's psychometry?
It's something like this. It's important, actually, where you can touch a picture of someone and like feel their presence and like figure out where they are. It's like a weird part of this where you use like photos of locations or things or people to like pick up their energy or get information.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Which actually has a lot to do with her involvement in this case, right?
Oh. Cool.
So she'd been having accurate visions since she was 4 years old. Apparently there's like a long list of things that she has provably like done or known about, right?
Predicted. Yeah.
Yeah. You're finding all the words that are escaping my little brain today because of the heat. So Rosemary told Elise, you know, come see me, bring a map of Louisiana and a photo of Andre. And remember, this is the 80s. So like it had to be like a physical map. There was no like Google Maps. Right. There was barely internet. This is all done old school style, right?
Yeah.
So when Elise arrives, she gives Rosemary the items, and Rosemary didn't even look at them. She just put them on the table, closed her eyes, and started rubbing her finger like across the photo of Andre. Mm-hmm. Within just a few minutes, she started giving Elise information. First, she said, you know, I'm having a lot of pain in the back of my head, and I'm hearing someone say, quote, my head is killing me. She said it felt like she was being hit with a blunt object over and over. She then said she saw Andre in a black truck or car with someone with long blonde hair who had power over him. Elise had actually just told Rosemary that Andre had a white car because Elise didn't know that he had bought the black truck. So she had old information that she was giving Rosemary, and she still called out a black vehicle, right?
Mm.
She then starts touching the map, and she points to this tiny little suburb about 30 miles outside of New Orleans called Slidell. She told Elise, have your family go check there. Have them go right this minute. Get them out there now. She also tells her, I feel Andre may be near a swamp. I see a low bridge, a sandy beach, and the number 7. So Elise is fucking horrified. But she calls her family and she's like, go to Slidell, right?
Get to the fucking swamp.
Yeah, get to that swamp. They had not been anywhere near there up to that point. Even though it was kind of a suburb of New Orleans, it was one that they didn't have any reason to check and didn't, he'd never been there. It wasn't anywhere near where he would have been, on any given night. It wasn't near the bar. So it was kind of random, right? So her family traveled in a caravan. So I think there were 2 sets of cars between 3 siblings. I think it was 2 brothers and one of their wives, and then the sister in the car behind. And as they approached a low bridge that would have taken them directly into the town of Slidell, Andre's truck drove by them. Yep. This was 4 days after he went missing. So again, very quick. So they see this truck and they see the 2 men inside, and neither of the men inside are Andre. Andre's brothers give chase. They call out to their sister to go in the other car and call their parents and have the parents call the police and tell them they're on the I-10 freeway, which starts in LA, by the way.
Yes.
I'm going to read what his brother Chris said about what happened next, because this is just, I couldn't tell it better than him, right? It's kind of long, but it's fucking interesting, okay?
Okay.
I pull alongside and there is Andre's truck with these 2 guys driving it. So I fall back and yell to my sister in the other car, you get off and call mom. Tell her to call the police. City, state, everyone. Tell them we're going east on the I-10. My sister exits and we keep on behind the truck. But then I can tell they realize they're being followed. They start trying to fake us out, making like they're going to exit and then at the last minute swerving back onto the I-10. But I stay with them. Then they turn off onto Highway 11 outside of Pearl River. Now we are following them down a dark, deserted highway surrounded by nothing but trees. And I'm thinking my sister is going to tell the police we are on the interstate. But I'm also thinking we can't lose them. They are the only link we have to Andre. So we ride like this for a while. And then I see the road is coming to a dead end. And the truck pulls up at the dead end and turns around and the lights go off like they're waiting for us. About 50 yards from the dead end, there's a bar. So I stop. And Nick, the friend, runs in to call the police. Just then, the lights come back on and it starts inching towards us, going real slow. I tell my wife, Virginia, to lie down on the floorboards. And Joey, who's the other brother, who has a 38 with him, and I open the car doors and crouch behind them, using them as shields. When the truck, isn't this insane?
This is like a movie. This is like an action movie.
It really is. When the truck gets up alongside us, they see us crouching like that. I don't know what they thought, maybe that we're cops or something, but they take off hauling ass. We take off after them, and by some miracle, there on this deserted road we had just driven down maybe 5 minutes before, there is now a police car parked. We start yelling, all of us at once, but the cop can't follow what we're trying to say. So Virginia shows him the flyer with Andre's picture, and the cop gives chase. We followed behind, all of us going around 100 miles an hour.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's like stressing me out.
I know.
It's like an actual action movie.
Yeah, it's a scene. It's a chase scene from a fucking movie.
Yeah.
So police catch them and arrest them. They arrest them for grand theft auto originally, right?
Okay.
Not for murder.
It's a good start.
Yeah.
I guess.
But there's zero proof at this time that they did anything but have possession of a stolen truck. However, once they get these 2 men named Michael Phillips and Charles Gervais into separate interview rooms, they immediately turn on each other because they assume the other one's talking first. So they both start talking so the other one can't get the other one in more trouble, right?
Right.
So they both say like we were down on our luck, we were about to be evicted from our apartment and living with just one shitty car between us, Yeah. They both had records for petty crimes, but nothing major. But because of their money issues and the fact that they're just ne'er-do-wells, right? They decide we're going to rob someone to pay for a new apartment and a new car. They also decided, just randomly, that since they were going to rob them, we might as well see if we have it in us to murder them. Because why not?
What? Okay.
That's the motive.
That's the logic? Okay.
Yep, we just want to see if we can do it.
Okay.
They're both arrested and charged with first-degree murder. And I think kind of in a bid to like avoid the death penalty or who knows what, they both agreed to help locate Andre's body. It was found off of exit 7. Remember number 7?
Spooky.
Yep. Wrapped in a rug, stuffed inside a couch that had been discarded on a sandy beach next to a swamp. Off of exit 7.
Gosh.
So there's the sandy beach swamp and number 7, just like Rosemary said. The two men also gave details on what happened that night, and obviously the autopsy matched this. Michael and Charles lived together, like I said, in a 2-bedroom apartment, along with Michael's girlfriend, Thelma.
Thelma, what's up?
Yeah, that's actually her name.
Yeah.
When they realized what they wanted to do, they enlisted Thelma to help them find a random victim by going out to a bar and flirting with someone to get them to take home back to their apartment.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's why she was so pushy with Andre, because she was like trying really hard to pick somebody up to bring him home. So she lured him back to her apartment, and as soon as he entered the door, Charles and Michael quickly overtook him and they beat him in the head with a hammer. Just like Rosemary said, my head is killing me, the blunt object, right?
Ugh.
When that didn't kill him, they took a cord from one of their lamps and strangled him to death. They then went and pawned everything of his that they could, take off of his body and out of his truck.
Ugh.
Obviously kept and drove the truck and began moving into a new apartment using his truck to not only dump his body, but to move their things. The couch and the rug that he was found in came from their apartment. So it's all tying back to them, right?
Yeah, nice. Yeah, tons of evidence.
Right. So how you were saying that like the police will never admit that a psychic is involved, they never give them credit. Generally speaking, that seems to definitely be the case. However, in this case, and this is the first time in the history of the American justice system, Rosemary was actually asked to take the stand and recount what she saw in her visions.
Oh, goddamn. That's crazy.
Isn't
I've never
wild?
heard that.
I know.
Yeah.
So she actually was brought into the court to recount what she had seen, because they're basically like, how the fuck did the family find these people? And it's like, well, she told us where to go and she told us what was going to happen. So pretty fucking wild. So both men were found guilty of first-degree murder. They were given life with no possibility of parole. Thelma was convicted of second-degree murder and was also given life without parole, because apparently in Louisiana, second-degree murder, you can get just as gnarly a sentence as first-degree. So I'm not really sure the point there, but hey.
Sure.
Rosemary was then catapulted into fame over this. Like, if you look her up, Rosemary Kerr, she's like all over the true crime world. She's helping, solve all sorts of cases. She ended up on a bunch of talk shows. She wrote a bunch of books. I'm not sure how many she was actually successful in solving. This is really the one that, like,
the big one,
fucking crazy. Like, how did she know that, right? Andre's family said they became believers after that and stayed in contact with Rosemary until her death in 2015. She also said that she, like, kept in touch with Andre's spirit, which I'm gonna say is bullshit, personally. I just I know.
Boo.
But, I was reading a guy who's a skeptic, and he was like, black and white cars are the most common cars in construction. So saying car or truck,
right.
The swamp and the sandy beach, like, you're in Louisiana, like, that's number one place to dump a body. So a lot of this could have been really good guesses. Even saying, like, my head hurts, it could have been you got shot in the head. It could have been you were beaten. She didn't know that he had been strangled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She didn't pick that up. Here I am just debunking the shit out of this, or trying to. I know, but
no, I just don't on principle like being skeptical about anything. I just like,
I know
100%.
And honestly, like, for her, like, the guy said, like, she's a hell of a mentalist if she was able to glean all of this, just from whatever, a map and just having good sense. So I don't know. I am on the fence. I definitely think that I don't think they would have caught these people, or if they did, they would have caught them as quickly as they did, or in the way that they did, had she not intervened.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely significant. I think in terms of our topic, very technically, she solved this fucking case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, whether it was by chance or actual psychic ability, I don't know.
Solve it.
She solved it. But she did, and she calls herself a psychic. So in the purest definition, this is definitely a good case for this topic. So.
And just to balance out your skeptical points, I think spirits are real. I think people can talk to spirits. I think we communicate with the spirits of our dead loved ones all the fucking time, and they have things to tell us. And there's all kinds of spirits telling us all kinds of things. and some people are just better at it. And I have had my mom have premonitions of things that happened, and then they happened.
I've
And,
actually had that happen, but I just feel like I don't know if I believe that that's being psychic in the truest sense of the word, or if it's more just like energy in the world that intercepts, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you think about a song and then it comes on the radio 10 seconds later or whatever, like, is that just like happenstance? Is that...
But I mean, like a full-on vision of a whole event and then the exact event happens is a bit more elaborate.
It is. But I'm just wondering if there's like different levels of that kind of thing. And like if it's just energy or happenstance, like I said, I don't know.
I will say I do watch a lot of ghost shows on Travel Channel with my husband, and some of them are just to make fun of them. Like some of them are really fucking hokey and they're obviously fake.
Yeah.
And some of them are a little bit better. But lately I've been getting peeved at even some of the ones I like, because they'll be like, oh, this is a haunting of this ghost in this case. And then it'll be like something that happened a mile from that house, you know? So I'm like, no, like ghosts and spirits, there's like, I don't know. I kind of feel like there's a geographic limitation, or there has to be like a relationship. So I don't know. I kind of feel like it is weird for people to appear randomly, or it is kind of weird for these. I don't know. I feel like there has to be some kind of connection or geographical connection. Like you're not going to be haunted by someone who died a mile away.
Right. I can see that. I don't know. I don't have strong enough opinions because I don't really believe it. So I don't know that I have like parameters through which my belief...
I've been haunted, dude. I've been haunted so hard.
Dude, my house in Oakland, everybody who lived there, myself included, was like, this fucking place is haunted. But I still am like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I feel like there's an explanation. I don't know.
Like, what was it really though? Or like what
like was it just a nightmare that I had that something was crawling up my wall like 4 different times? Like Grace having like sleep paralysis? Was that just like random that it was there?
It was haunted, dude.
Yeah, it was fucking weird. It was a weird house. I don't know.
Haunted as fuck.
Anyway, I don't know. What do you guys think? Somebody wanted us to do this, obviously. So somebody believe.
Cue the unsolved mystery thing.
I know, right?
Yeah.
For real. All right. Well, sorry we're a day late on these, you guys. This was kind of a quick one, which is nice for editing so I can get it out in time. Again, it's Diva's traveling, living her best life. So we needed to kind of take an extra day. But, you know, it's a holiday today. So whatevs. And I only worked like a half-ish day. I'm kind of checking in here and there. So we got to record midday, which is great. Nice. So anyway, thanks for listening, you guys. Last month was our best month for downloads ever, and we got some new reviews, and it's been really good. So exciting. We're continuing our little growth, which is amazing. Let's keep doing it.
Slow and steady.
Yeah, that's what wins the race, right? Or fucking runs us into the ground. We'll see. Anyway, so thanks everybody. Again, we're gonna do 2 more of these cases in a couple of days, and until then,
stay
off our. Yeah. Bye.